Good evening, listeners, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Fear the Queer,
a podcast that talks about everything on our gay agendas. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And on today's episode, we will be talking about the acclaimed drag competition show, Dragula. And all the spookiness that comes about with that.
Yes.
But before we get into that, Josh, what are we drinking tonight?
Well, I have an empty bottle of Aquafina next to me.
Well, and I have a almost empty bottle of water.
Look at us staying hydrated.
I'm reusing the bottle, so like,
it's the end of Sober 30 for Kyle, and I'm sick of water.
You don't have to drink water, though. You can drink whatever you want. Cheers, queers.
Cheers, queers.
That didn't make a clink. Let me try.
All right. But before we get into the heart of our gay agenda tonight, we're going to do another segment of Catch That Queer,
in which we talk about someone within the LGBTQ plus community that helps us in the past, present, or future. So, today I've chosen Dorian Corey.
Dorian Corey.
Okay.
The first thing I thought of was the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Different girl.
Okay.
Different queen.
Okay.
So Dorian Corey was a trans woman drag performer and leader of the House of Corey. You may recognize her from the iconic film Paris is Burning.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Dorian was a fixture in New York and the New York drag ball scenes. Mm-hmm. And, even had... She had her own house. She was a fashion designer. In her early days, she had a whole cabaret act in which she would dance with a snake. Oh. It's a whole thing.
Before Britney.
It's Dorian. It's Dorian Corey, bitch. So I became familiar with Dorian Corey because of who she was in the Paris is Burning documentary. She has a bunch of amazing lines and quips. Mm-hmm. My favorite is when she says, "If you shoot an arrow and it goes real high, hooray for you."
Oh, okay.
Relevant. I like it because she says it so dryly and she's like putting on her makeup.
Right.
And she says it. So the reason I chose Dorian Corey was just kind of keeping with the spooky theme. Mm-hmm. Her death was of AIDS-related complications, but it's what they found after her death that is kind of spooky, kind of alarming.
Oh, yes, I totally forgot about this.
So after her death, they were going through her belongings, and they actually found the body of Robert Worley, who was an ex-lover of Dorian Corey's. And it was a mummified body with a gunshot wound in his head.
Oh.
It seems as though the body had been there in her closet for 15 years.
And no one like figured anything out?
No one thought anything out. And you got to remember that this is before a time, and I mean, trans people, drag performers, queer people are still not comfortable going to the police about things.
That's true.
So this was at a time that Dorian... It may have been a lover's quarrel. It may have been in self-defense. There could have been a burglary. Either way, Dorian Corey took care of it.
Yeah.
And had a mummified man in her closet.
In her closet?
Yeah, in her closet.
Was it in like a trunk?
I'm not sure.
Or was it like hanging up along with the dresses and everything?
I hope it was just like hanging up. I hope it was another look for her.
Right.
But she
people just thought it was like a Target decoration.
Right, they're like, "Oh my god, I love the mummified man." Dorian Corey's
it even
like,
smells bad.
Hooray for you.
Yeah.
What's wild is when they were doing the documentary Paris is Burning, that was filmed in 1990. Dorian Corey died in 1993. So fucking mummified body.
Oh my god, it was in the film.
It was, maybe. I don't know, because they may have filmed in her house.
Oh.
Or it may have been like backstage at the show.
What if he was sitting on top of it or something, like in a trunk? You know what I mean?
I would. If I had an ex-lover, if I had to get things done, I definitely put it in a trunk and sit on it. Oh, ooh, it's very rope.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. No, I meant like, what if the cameraman who was like filming her, like, what if he was just sitting on it the entire time?
Oh.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh my god, there's a body in the trunk.
Oh my god. Did you see you saw season 2 of Pose, right?
Not all of it, but I was going to say, there is that storyline in Pose where, what is it, Elektra?
Yeah.
She is like a dominatrix.
Yes.
And one of her clients ends up dying. He ODs. He accidentally kills himself. on poppers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, poppers. Well, a lot of us.
Yeah, he like puts poppers in the gas
I think he had
mask. It's like
Viagra
the whole
on and
thing.
everything,
Yeah. So they have to
yeah.
like go and get rid of this body, and they
Yes.
mummify it.
Yes, and they put him in Elektra's closet, and they're just like, never move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, whoever wrote it definitely knew about Dorian Corey's story.
Right.
So a nice little spooky queer history that we just went through.
So
Yeah.
she's not even just like a legend. She's also a fucking murderous legend.
Well, we don't. I mean, I would hope that like the
There's like a
gunshot
little note
wound,
that like I did it.
oh my god, like rolled up.
Right, yeah.
Well, it's okay. So this is really sad because when Dorian Corey died, she was cremated, and her remains were never like no one came and picked them up. They were
Aw.
unclaimed. Yeah.
So what happens?
They just get rid of it. They just
Oh.
get rid of her remains. They cremate her remains, and that's it.
But no one no one picks up like the ashes. Like what do they do with it?
No, they just dump
Oh.
it.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not like a crematorium. Is that what they're called? Crematorium?
know. A crematorius.
God, I'm on fire here today.
Well, that's really cool about her. Now I'm wondering what's in your closet.
You're not allowed to go in my bedroom. I have too many loads of laundry that I need to do.
Oh, sure, laundry.
And a body. Now we're going to get to the heart of our gay agenda. This week we are talking about Dragula.
And not the Rob Zombie song.
There's a Rob Zombie song called Dragula.
Yeah, you never heard of it?
Dragula?
Yeah.
No, I don't listen to Rob Zombie. I listen to good music.
Bang in the back of my Dragula. It's like supposed to
Is
be
it
like
really?
a monster
What?
truck of his. You never heard of that?
No, I guess.
Oh.
I guess I.
It came out like the late 90s.
Well, I was born in 2005, so I'm not familiar. Mm-hmm. Yes, I'm very young. So Dragula, for those of you who don't know, is a show run by and hosted by the Boulet brothers,
Yes.
who are drag queens.
Yes.
And they are within the third season of their installments.
Yes.
It started on YouTube.
Right.
And you can watch season 1, season 2 on YouTube. The production value is a little bit lacking, but the show is all about the next drag monster.
Right.
So it's kind of the counterpoint or the foil to RuPaul's Drag Race, where everyone's kind of like pretty and glamorous and lots of lip syncing and kind of campy queens. And
More
we're-
traditional sense of drag
more
queens, yeah.
traditional, and this is more an alternative style of drag.
Right.
And it
Because
would
the Boulet brothers actually had a drag like pageant.
yes,
Like
Dragula
in,
pageant.
Yeah, in California, where they actually would have people compete to win the pageant itself, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the first season of Dragula brought out some new names in the drag community, like Vander Von Odd. Spoiler alert: one of my favorite performers, Meatball. Mm-hmm. Hysterical. Love Meatball.
What was that Instagram story that you sent me that Meatball was doing that I was like dying
Meatball
about?
did Meatball did a like a production or a performance piece where they did a full like scream with
Oh,
like
that's right.
Ghostface.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, super goddamn
Oh,
funny.
it was so good. I won't spoil anything, but it was just Meatball recreating, like, I think the beginning of Scream, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the beginning of Scream, and then she was running away from Ghostface and lip syncing to "Can You Keep Up?"
Yeah.
Oh, I lose my breath. And then when he finally stabs her, she sings the "Why did you do that?" to me?"
That's great.
From A Star Is Born. It's really good. So
Yeah.
very funny. Season 2 had such performers like Bitch Pudding, who ended up winning, Victoria Black, super
So many
beautiful.
spoilers.
I
never
we're
seen
on
it.
the third season. Oh,
That's
honey.
Well, not the first two seasons.
Well, so and then Abora, who is kind of like this like bird witchy type thing, and they've actually performed here. Well, they've all performed here.
Were you
in
terrified of
Chicago.
them? 'Cause they were a
my
bird?
God, I kind of love her. She's like kind of creepy, and she wears like this like not a prosthetic nose, but it's like a duct tape nose thingy. It's fantastic. It's so good. She like darkens in her teeth to make them look pointy. It's really good. So these are seasons 1 and 2, which you can watch. They're on Amazon Prime.
Oh, they are now.
They are, yeah. So they went from YouTube to Amazon Prime, and honestly, you probably could still watch them on YouTube. I haven't
Probably.
checked. That's how I watched them originally. So now we're on to season 3.
Yes.
The budget is bigger, production value is better,
Yeah, it's really fun.
and we have a larger variety of queens.
Mm-hmm.
We have our first, we have 2 AbFab performers. So I didn't know
what does AbFab mean
I was
for the
going to
people?
say,
Okay.
So AbFab performers are assigned female at birth.
Assigned fee. Okay.
So, like, a lot of drag competition shows, RuPaul's Drag Race, have never featured someone who would be an AbFab performer.
Right, which we will actually talk about the controversy about that a little bit later.
Yes. So, those 2 performers on the Boulay Brothers Dragula are the drag king Landon Cider and the non-binary performer Hollow Eve. And they're both fucking fantastic.
Yeah, Landon is amazing.
Yeah,
She's the drag queen. Or king, sorry.
Yeah.
See, I can't even, oh my gosh, I'm so normalized to saying, like,
she and her and
Yeah.
queens and stuff. Yeah, like Landon, he totally is. I think he could bring it home. I really think he could be the next drag superstar. So good, so polished.
drag monster.
Drag monster.
I thought you said drag superstar.
Oh my god, I did. Oh my god, yeah. Next
Yeah.
drag monster.
Yes.
Yes.
See, it's a
I'm
learning
so
experience.
Used to it, yeah. So this season 3, besides the production value being better and besides the challenges being even more extreme, there's
A little too extreme, in my opinion. But
Okay.
we'll get into that.
Well, let's
Yeah.
get into it. So, the very first episode, the bottom 2, instead of lip syncing like you would on RuPaul's Drag Race, the Boulay brothers, they call it exterminations. So, like, hello, uglies, and which I love. And so I'd be like, hey, kitty girls. It's like,
Right.
hello, uglies, which I hear that from people all the time to myself.
So you're just like,
I'm like, yes, talk to me more. So, the bottom 2 have to jump out of a plane.
Right, I know. It's just like,
I was
I remember the first time I
gagged.
watched, I was just like, what?
Oh my god, I was so gagged though. I loved it.
It's just
Did you not like it?
No, it is, but it's just like it's such like a great like mixture of Drag Race and Fear Factor, which you
Yes.
never thought would actually happen.
Yeah,
so
it's-
like when you have the concept of drag queens jumping out of a heli or a plane, yeah, to stay in the competition, I'm just like, oh,
Well, they gotta level up. It's like it's definitely. I love
yeah,
it because
hashtag Sierra.
I love it because I feel like I sound like such an old white lady from the suburbs, but it's like
You are.
I am, but it does feel like a little bit more punk
Yeah.
in a way.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
It's not. It's definitely a take no prisoners approach to how drag is and how drag's performed and perceived. Artistically, every single person on here is
Very polished.
fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's the very first challenge is actually supposed to be supervillains and concepts of what they would consider a supervillain, and the amount of detail that these queens put into is actually they put some of the Drag Race girls to shame. And I'm not trying to compare the two.
Well, I think
But-
we can compare the two. I mean,
Well,
like,
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say not trying to compare the two as if like that's the only type of media to go off of, but
in a
like,
way, it kind of is.
right. Well, that's true.
Mainstream media, like, this
But
is what
the-
a lot of audiences are seeing. They're seeing, like, really polished, like, Drag Race girls, but they're also seeing really polished drag monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one assigned female at birth performer,
Hollow Eve.
Yeah, Hollow Eve, when she put what was it, like
and,
staples in her face,
and was, like, peeling it back. And what was it supposed to look like?
it was kind of like Hellraiser, like
There you go.
when it was just like her skin was like melting off. I was like, oh my god,
so
it was so
good.
cool. And then the winning challenge performer, like she had snakes all coming out of her head. It was really cool.
Really amazing. There's something really
And then the other ones
satisfying.
just jumped out of a plane.
Yeah, and the other ones, the bottom 2, which were also still good,
Yeah.
had to jump out of a goddamn plane.
Right.
They're
They're like, my wig!
like, I'm winning!
Yeah. Well, it'd be really funny if like they had to do something like scary while in the air, like eat a
Oh my
spider while in the
God.
air.
Well, they did have to eat a spider the first episode.
Yeah.
Well, Landon Cider had to eat a spider the first
Right,
episode.
I know.
Which
I'm
is
just
so. I love that they have all the drag competitors
Right.
stand in front and they're like, choose a compact, and whoever gets the bad compact has to eat spiders. And whoever gets a good compact gets a trip to Bermuda or something. And I just love that they're
It's
like,
so much extreme, like.
and I love that. It's just like, I feel when these people who sign up
Mm-hmm.
definitely have like, your adrenaline is going to be pumping from like the start to the finish.
Right,
Like,
you're gonna age 20 years by the time you're done with this.
so I'm gonna look terrible. Even more so.
I just think it's really funny because I feel like it kind of like is a really different type of camp that I feel like most people are not used to. You know, like it's just so funny and ridiculous.
It is so, because they do these like mini like little scenes, the Boulet brothers do, before and after and in between like the reality TV show of it. So it does still have that kind of like fun, queer, campy horror.
Yeah, like anytime a contestant is eliminated, they have this like little like film skit of like
how they die.
Yeah, the eliminated queen of like how they die, and like there was one that we just saw where it's like they had their head bashed in, and like someone like fell into a vat of acid.
Right. Yeah. It's like it's all really fun and really ridiculous, but I think that's why people
it is cool. I will say that
are drawn to the show. Like we talk about in a lot of this. Horror being something that queer
horror. He keeps saying horror.
I keep saying horror. I can't help but say horror.
He just wants to be one so badly.
I do, but I'm such a nun. But there's queer people like connect to horror so much, and I think that like if you're able to combine and horrors and horses, I'm a horse girl. They connect to it because it's like, okay, so you have drag, which is such a mainstay in the LGBTQ community, and then you get spooky with it, and it's like everyone who feels like they can't connect to like polished
like
drag race, like the pretty queens.
Yeah,
it's like that's okay. You can be just as polished and just as good, and be a completely different style of drag,
and
it's still valid.
Monster,
yeah, it's still totally valid. Like I love that.
Yeah, and that's what I like about the show too. Is that it definitely opens up your eyes to like what drag can be and what. Like, how many times I feel like people limit their idea of what drag should be.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of times when people, like, have questions about drag, it's just like, well, it is weird. Like, why is a female performer doing drag and things like that? It's just like, but drag's just a performance.
Drag's for everyone, right? It's just performance art at the end of the day.
Right.
That being said, Hollow Eve, who's one of the Ab Fab performers, brings up a really interesting discussion topic in one of the earlier episodes about the term fishy. So in the drag community, for those of you who don't know, the term fish or fishy is a way to describe like, oh, she looks like a woman, or she's like very feminine. And Hollow was like, you know what, I don't like that term, and I think it's really disrespectful, and it's disrespectful to use the term fishy because it basically equates it to people's like genitalia.
Right.
And it's really demoralizing and how well they pass. And, like, let's be real, there's all different ways that you can present as a quote-unquote woman or quote-unquote man or whatever it might be.
Right. Because gender's just an expression.
Right. And, like, so you don't have to use, like, outdated terms.
Right.
And I love that is something that's being presented on the show. Like
in the very first episode.
Yeah, and the platform is there. It's like the platform's there. Hollow is ready to like go for it. I mean, she's like a self-proclaimed like anarchist, which I live. But she's like there to like make a point. She's not there to play around. And you know, just like she's gonna say what she's got to say and go for it.
Right. And I think it's also important too the fact that the Boulet brothers did move to Amazon Prime rather than just YouTube, because it, again, with that platform, it educates a lot of people way better, because
it legitimizes it too.
Well, that too. Yeah, for sure. And they got a better budget. They could just throw people out of planes now. I'm never going to get over that. But like with RuPaul, considering the fact it's on VH1, a major network and everything like that, a lot of people who don't know about drag, which is still very common these days, are going to educate themselves based off what they see on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Exactly.
And the problem is that sometimes Ru himself has had outdated views called out upon.
Well, yeah, we've talked about it a little bit on this podcast.
Yeah.
Ru does have a lot of outdated views on what it is to be a drag performer, gender, terminology.
Yep. So, for those of you who may not know, I know we talked about this before, but just want to bring it up again. The question was brought up.
Sis.
Well, the question was brought up about whether or not they would have assigned female at birth performers on, or any transgender women on. And he explained a little bit in an interview. I can't remember what the interview is, but he also tweeted something that became quite a controversial tweet that said, "You could take performance-enhancing drugs and still be an athlete, just not in the Olympics," insinuating that it's sort of like it's sort of cheating in a way.
Right. And it's like, that's complete bullshit because, like the Boulet brothers say, I'm not trying to pin RuPaul and the Boulet brothers against each other. That's not the point of this podcast.
No.
But the Boulet brothers... The Boulet brothers, before they critique any of their drag performers, they're like, we're not here to critique your drag. Drag is art, and art is subjective. We're here to critique you based on the task that you had to...
Based off of the competition.
The competition, right. And
which is really cool.
I think that's super important because...
And somehow way more empowering, in a way.
Right, because, like, none of the performers on Dragula are bad or unpolished. And if they are a little unpolished, that's kind of their drag. And it's still valid.
Right. Right, it is kind of funny, too, how, like, some things would be considered awful, like, on the Drag Race main stage.
Right.
Would be actually, like, embraced and celebrated on Dragula, and vice versa.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Another thing too that since I'm a newcomer to the show too, is the boudoir is very interesting.
Right, it's like the workroom. So they all hang out in there, and you can tell the producers are like trying to like poke them and be like, okay, so talk about this.
Right, because out of every once in a while, like one of the girls will just kind of turn very, very calculated to another girl, be like, so what do you think? Blah,
right. What I like,
ladies, it's almost time to leave.
Yeah, we gotta pack up tomorrow.
So
we're
like,
going
who the fuck says that besides Kyle?
I do like to run a show, and be the show.
Yeah.
But what I enjoy also is when they're in the boudoir, they're having like honest conversations. Like they're super intense with each other, which you said.
Well, at first it kind of came off as abrasive.
Yeah,
but it was only because it was the very first episode,
and they were feeling each other out.
They were feeling each other out, and they were all like kind of bashing each other at first. I was just
they're like badass performers.
They're
like, they're not fucking around.
No, I know, but at first, like it is kind of interesting. Like in an editing standpoint, they're just like, okay, so who am I supposed to root for? Oh, apparently they all suck.
Apparently they're all coming for blood.
Right.
I live for because I would rather see like people who are super passionate than like, oh well, I guess like this is my drag and like
I only been doing it for like 2 weeks. And this is just like a fun ride.
Right. Like I'm so excited that the Boulets decided to bring me here. Yeah. Like they're all like, this is my art and I live and die by this creed. They're so intense.
Yeah.
But I like that because then they get into conversations that are, I think, important for the queer community. Like, they're talking about, like, substance abuse and alcoholism, and I feel like those are things that are always kind of, like, skimmed over in queer spaces.
Sure.
Because a lot of our queer spaces are bars.
Yeah.
And
you can't really talk about alcoholism there.
Right. And so to have a platform where queer people are talking about struggles with these kind of things, it's like refreshing. I don't know. It's refreshing, girl. Like,
it is, because it's like I mean, they do have like topics that they bring up in Drag Race, but it's more the sense of like, when did you come out?
Yeah.
How's your family dealing with
it's like Gay 101.
Right, exactly. It's like an introduction of things that like we already talk about. It's kind of like, this is a little going off topic, but we always talk about like queer movies in 2019, and sometimes like...
Are you talking about Love, Simon?
No, well, not Love, Simon. Beach Rats, that movie that came out last year. And it was about this closeted kid who like was struggling to come out and everything like that, which is like a very valid story and everything like that, but it should have came out like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like we need to talk about like more relevant
like trans
things.
people are being murdered. Like the US government wants to debate whether we are protected under law.
Right, like those are the stories we need to talk about now.
Talk about horror stories.
Right.
Horror stories. God damn it.
Talk about whores. Horsey. Anyway, so going back to Drag Race, some of the stories that they talk about is like, oh, so does your family accept you for doing this and things like that, which is, again, it's still a valid story. I'm not trying to take away from it, but we've heard that story from the very beginning.
And they do that on Dragula too, though. Like, they'll talk about like their family, and one of my favorite contestants, Louisiana Purchase.
Great name, by the way.
Right, isn't that a great name? She talks about how she didn't start doing drag till she was in her late 30s. And that's when she finally felt like she started living. Yeah. And it's so interesting because I think, I don't know, not that I can relate to that, but I don't feel like I started truly being
you
myself.
are in your late 30s.
And I still look this good? Damn.
Art is subjective.
Oh, my word. I'm about to subject you right out this house. Get out my house!
He throws me out of the play.
Oh my god. It's part of the elimination of Dragula.
Yeah.
The extermination tonight is being thrown out of Kyle's third floor window.
Right.
I am happy there's not a lot of spookiness going on this episode.
That's true, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone. Why have I been saying that lately? Nothing has fallen off the walls yet.
Well, the spooky, I had my, like, spooky old man picture,
Right.
and it fell off twice, and you know what? I'm guessing he's haunted. I've had him for years. I found him at a flea market. So that's not happening. I'm not hearing any screams outside. I'm not hearing any thumping and thundering up and down the stairs.
Right. Next thing you know, like, the door's just gonna burst open.
Oh my god, gag.
And a sea
I don't
of
want
spiders are coming through.
Oh!
Okay.
Actually, I'm fine with spiders.
Getting back on point here. So, since you have been an avid watcher of this season,
I have.
so who is your prediction to win?
Okay, so without spoiling it for everyone, because I think
I mean, we basically are kind of.
we're kind of spoiling it. When this podcast is released,
It's already on Amazon.
well, it's already on Amazon, but like the final episode, I think is getting released when we release this podcast.
Oh.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be with the finale.
I know. Well, I'm
Calculated.
listeners. You can't see this, but I'm pointing to my noggin. I think about
What's
everything.
left?
You are so rude. It is subjective. No, I think Landon Cider is going to take it home for me.
And that's the Drag King.
That's the drag king. Landon Cider is like, chef kiss. Mwah. So good.
Ratatouille.
No, not Ratatouille. God damn it, not Ratatouille. No, Landon Cider is so clean and precise and polished with edge and has been doing this for years.
The attention to detail is really great.
It's phenomenal, and I think that for a lot of drag kings, I think they kind of go in like, oh, are you an Elvis Presley or are you like a Frank Sinatra? You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like you're kind of put in these boxes, and I think performers like Landon Cider really show you like, no, this is drag excellence. Like you can really push it.
Right. And it's always really cool because I never, even in Chicago, I have not been exposed to many drag kings at all, except for
Tenderoni.
Except for Tenderoni, yeah.
Drag excellence, Chicago excellence. One of my favorite drag performers to watch, Tenderoni. Because it kind of has like a Prince, Michael Jackson, flashy. Like the contours are really good, the makeup's really good, the clothing's good, the music's good. What? I stand.
Just the way you described, like a little bit of like Prince and a little bit of like Michael, a little bit of
Well, I mean, like Tenderoni would also say that.
Yeah, I know.
But it's nice to have these drag performers, drag kings that are kind of setting the standard for what you can do it. Like you can push it. You don't have to. Like you're allowed to have kind of eccentric femininity within a masculine art form.
Right. I agree. Would you take anything from the drag kings and apply it to your drag? Because you kind of do drag.
Well, I just wake up every morning and smack my face into some makeup. Yeah, no, I think with drag kings,
because I feel like we can learn from them.
Oh, definitely. I think there's a sense of stage presence and strength and commanding. And I don't know if that's because like drag kings are sort of emulating men, and men seem to take up space a lot easier.
Manspreading.
Yeah, like, oh my god. I'll tell you a story. There was a bad manspreading on the train the other day. What?
The story alone, like you trying to get that out was worth it.
All I wanted to say was manspreading, and it came out mans, moons, moo spreading. Moo-moos. Oh, girl, I want a moo-moo so
anyway,
bad. Anyways.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think, like, you can take away the presence and really command the stage. But, drag in general is all about commanding the stage and demanding to be respected.
Right.
Give them a little Aretha. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me.
Right. Ooh.
Suck it to me, 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 suck it to me.
Yet another insightful comment of Kyle.
It's a little bit.
And now he's possessed by Aretha.
I'm possessed by Aretha, my Motown
So do you
queen.
think? So now that the show is on now that Dragula is on Amazon.
There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say. shut up. Now that it's on Amazon and
Yes.
it has a higher platform, do you think that the possibility of Dragula becoming a little bit more mainstream is possible?
I don't think so. I
No?
think the Boulets are
No.
very-
Not the Boulet brothers making it more mainstream. What I'm saying is, do you think that it would somehow be able to expand and the mainstream audiences would accept
the
it?
mainstream audiences.
Yes, would accept it.
Yeah, I do, because I think that people like scary, spooky shit. And you get scary, spooky shit, you get drag performances, you get a competition show. Who doesn't like that?
Right.
I mean, I guess if you don't like scary, spooky shit, you don't like it. But
Someone's just like, I am afraid of needles.
it's like, oh, don't watch the show then,
Yeah.
because there's definitely going to be some needles used. There's
Staples.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was easy.
Plus, it's also really, I like the kind of concept of the fact that, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race like has been around for so long, and it's like the mecca of drag and everything, and
Right.
we owe a lot to it and everything like that. But it is cool when an up and comer kind of comes along. It's just like, like I'm the new star in the room.
And the Boulets also have said that they're like they owe it to RuPaul, because RuPaul did put drag on TV, so
Yeah.
like, and a drag competition show on TV,
Right.
So it's nice, like you have Dragula, and it's just great. It's great. It's a great part of our spooky series, kids. I really am. Don't look at me that way. You just said I was possessed by Aretha. Maybe Aretha was having a moment.
Maybe. Anyway. Yeah, I agree. So if you
Freedom.
can watch it,
Freedom. Freedom. Sing it with me. Freedom.
I was like, I don't know the words.
Think about it. You think about it. There you go. You know.
So if you can, get an Amazon Prime subscription.
Yes. Conform to capitalism.
Right, I was gonna say, so
Thanks,
that
Jeff
way,
Bezos.
Right, so that way you could just help him get even more money.
Or like illegally stream it. I'm down with that too. Whatever.
I'm sure the Boulet brothers would be okay with that.
Yeah, they're fine with it. It's no big deal.
Right.
But if you like what we're talking about, like, send us a message. Follow us on the Instagram.
yeah.
No, sorry. You looked at me like, hello?
Right?
Okay,
I
Adele,
disassociated.
hello?
I disassociated there for a second.
Oh my God.
Yeah, send us a spooky message. Slide into our DMs. I don't know. What's something that's scary that happens on social media these days?
Dick pics.
Send us an unsolicited dick
Oh
pic.
God. Oh my God. You know what? I was talking the other day and I was like, I don't remember the last time I did that.
Got one?
I have gotten a dick pic, sir.
When?
I'm trying to think. I'm thinking about it.
When was the last time that you sent out one?
Okay, the fact that you have to think
I was
about
like,
it
the fact
that
that
hard.
it's just, like,
Oh
radio
God.
silence. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you send out ass pics?
No.
Tit pics?
No. I send out my Instagram handle and I say, follow me, bitches. So that's why, that's why. Well, you know, you made such a great Tinder profile for me. I don't know
right?
why. I don't know
I don't
why
understand
men
why. Well, you
aren't
did get
coming
a
for
Tinder
me.
message earlier.
I did, and I'm not opening it because I still have not deleted it. Now that's scary, folks. That is scary. I still have Tinder on my phone.
And you won't delete it. You'll just look at the messages and like have a panic attack.
Dragula.
Right.
So-
That's Kyle's version of Dragula.
oh my God. What would you do if you were on Dragula?
I would totally try to do as many references to old horror films as I could.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like that's definitely your aesthetic.
oh yeah, like anything from like 1931 pre-code horror films to like the 70s, like Dario Argento. Like,
Yeah.
I would try to do that as much as I
Like a
could.
Suspiria type
it's fu-
situation.
Yeah, well, it's funny too because I don't. Like, I have very low pain tolerance, and I also get scared pretty easily and things like that, so I don't know how well I would do, like,
Okay, that
jumping
makes
out of
sense
a
because
plane.
as we were watching Dragula, you're like, oh God.
Like,
God.
well, yeah, because some of the challenges, I'm just like,
Scary.
I don't think I could handle that, but I would love to participate on that show.
But the thing is that if you compete and you're good, you don't end up in the bottom.
Well, that's not happening. I always bottom.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I guess I would show more versatility on the show than you would.
and not beyond.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
spooky wind.
Right, it was the ghost being like, ooh, girl.
The ghost is like, ooh, it's a bird.
Right. Anyway, what were we talking about? We got way off track here.
I was just telling people to watch Dragula.
Oh, yeah.
Connect to us on Instagram and the
Yes.
social medias and Facebook. Fear the Queer Podcast.
Yeah, do all that bullshit. Yeah, anyway, we know.
We always got to put the plug in.
No, I totally agree.
Plug it in, plug it in.
But if you can, seriously, watch Dragula because it's a very fun show. I'm actually curious to see how it progressed from season 1 to season 3.
Yeah, I definitely say you're going to go back from season 3 and be like,
I always watch it in like
Hello?
a Benjamin Button style where it's just...
where it's like they start, oh, wait, what?
No, it's just like I start like at the very newest.
The new, and then you go backwards.
Right, exactly.
I mean, I like season 1 and season 2 because it is kind of like guerrilla filmmaking. Like, they have said...
You know I'm afraid of apes.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Hashtag trigger warning.
Right.
I don't want
Which, by the way, I always like the term guerrilla filmmaking because it just sounds like a monkey's like holding the camera.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, just search Fear the Queer Podcast. You can also follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and SoundCloud. For this week, give us a little message on what you would do as a horror. Wow, I just did it.
You're becoming me. You're becoming a horror.
Yeah. Give us the message of what you would do as a horror drag queen / king / non-binary.
You can just say drag performer.
That too.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm just a drag performer.
Yeah.
I drag that too.
I drag that too.
We're going to drag that to the end.
Yes. So anyway, listeners. Wow, I'm not even drunk. Anyway, I'm
Talk
Josh.
about the loose. Maybe it get you better if you were... Maybe it get you better. Who am I? Maybe it get you better.
I don't know what's happening to us tonight. Maybe we're getting possessed.
Well, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Josh.
And we're possessed. No, and we're Fear the Queer. Bye.
Okay, so I'm going to play Rob Zombie's Dragula for you because I'm surprised you never
Jesus
heard that
Christ.
song.